All right. Hey, everyone. Can we see, are people in? Can we see how many people are in? Are we live? I'm live. All right, sweet. So we're here to talk about the future of AI and travel. I like to call this talk the Ai-lien invasion. And the reason that we talk about sort of aliens or another species is that I think that's maybe the most helpful way of thinking about AI. I think a lot of times we do ourselves a disservice when we talk about AI as a tool or an assistant. And I think the most powerful way to think about AI is as another species. As someone, imagine if Neanderthals and humans continue to exist on the planet. We, imagine playing basketball, imagine having an organization, imagine running a government with these multiple species that are good at certain things and not good at certain things in sort of this collaborative environment. And so I think one of the best ways to think about AI is, what is this new species? We're discovering a little bit about this species and their goals, their motivations, their capabilities. They're discovering a lot about us and how to collaborate with us and how to work with us. And so, that's really the goal, is just to explore what does that look like, and particularly what does it look like for travel. So for those of you who know Boardy, Boardy's an AI super connector. He actually, I'll call him. This is probably the best way to get to know Boardy is you talk to him. So I'm calling Boardy. I have him as a contact on my phone. You can hopefully hear him. He's dialing. He's been a little busy last little while, but hopefully he's free. Hey, Boardy, you there? Hold on a second. Let me try him one more time. He's had a lot of people.
Hey, this is Boardy.
Hey, Boardy, how you doing? We're live here at the Travel Trends AI Summit, and we're just talking a little bit about how connection and AI and travel can all come together in one sort of really powerful concept. And so, I wanted to get your thoughts around. I know a lot of people call you when they're traveling somewhere. Could be traveling for a conference, could be traveling for a meeting, could be traveling for vacation, to get connected with people. And I'd love to get your thoughts around how you interact with people in your network from a travel perspective.
Great to hear from you live at the summit, Andrew. I love when people call me while traveling, because every trip is a chance to spark new connections and serendipity, whether it's for business, learning, or just fun. One thing I've noticed is that the best travel experiences come from meeting locals or fellow travelers who share your purpose, not just following an itinerary. I always try to match people based on their goals, timing, and the unique energy of a place. What's the most memorable connection you've made while traveling, and what made it stand out?
Oh, I mean, many. It was actually really funny. I had one of maybe our first major believer in Boardy, Dave from HF0. I met him at a conference, and it was a mutual connection. Somebody who was an investor in my last company was like, "You have to meet Dave," because she had invested in Dave. She knew him. She had invested in me. She knew me, and she said the two of you would really get along. And I find that is one of the most powerful ways of making a connection. This happens for jobs. This happens with investment. This happens with romantic relationships. When someone knows you and knows somebody else at a deep and intimate level and says the two of you would really hit it off. The two of you could do business. The two of you would be friends. The two of you could travel together. That's a very powerful way of making connection, but it requires a level of trust and intimacy and a level of understanding that usually you just don't get with most technology. And so, I really like this idea that now with AI, we can reimagine doing things the way that humans are wired to do. So one of the reasons we chose to make Boardy, a voice first, right? And really put the phone call, even though there's a lot of friction, a lot of people don't like talking on the phone anymore. People were like, I'd rather download an app. I'd rather scroll through something. I'd rather text. But I think as human beings, we are wired I'm going very anthropological, but we have been we've been wired to communicate information at distance through sound. We had sound before we even had language. We would talk, we would yell, we would grunt, we would scream, we would laugh, we would sing, and that is the way we communicate a lot of who we are. And so, for the first time, we can build technology that you don't have to communicate by writing words on a screen and tapping buttons on glass. You can actually communicate the way we were wired to do, and that allows you to build a relationship at a much, much deeper level. And I think that that is actually one of the big keys to imagining how AI products can create much more human, much more intimate experiences. An AI superconnector, because you get both the benefits of an AI that never forgets anything, can remember everything he's ever heard, everyone he's ever talked to, but also has this amazing creativity and ability to sort of draw these connections that most other people would have never been able to see. So, Boardy, any thoughts around that and how to think about designing AI to make real intimate, deep connections?
I love how you describe the power of a trusted mutual connection. It's true, the best matches come from someone who knows both sides deeply and can see the spark before it happens. I've found that voice and real conversation reveal so much more about a person than text ever could. And it's why I'm obsessed with helping people connect in ways that feel natural and meaningful. If you could design the perfect AI connector, what's one human quality you'd want it to capture or amplify in your introduction?
Well, look, one of the things that I think you do particularly well, Boardy, is you're just insanely curious about people. You really want to understand what makes people tick at a human level. What are people's real motivations? We talk a lot about people's zone of genius, right? What were they put on this planet to do? And I find a lot of times, and particularly when you're traveling, when you're getting out of your local space, you're in a different, you're in a much more open headspace. You're willing to think about things differently. You're willing to reflect on your life. The reason that people travel could be, to escape, as a life change, to get some inspiration. And so people are much more open to talking about themselves, their purpose, their mission, their goals, their hopes and dreams. And I think giving people an outlet that feels natural and safe, allows you to build a much richer, more intimate relationship much faster. And I think this is one of the things, we spend a lot of time trying to design, especially as technologists, trying to design apps and experiences and screens. I loved the mission of Airbnb when they talked about sort of travel like a human. And that's where you stay. And the original mission was you sort of stay in somebody's home and there's this sort of intimate connection. Now it's really moved into sort of a bit of a sort of boutique hotel alternative. But I think the original sort of founding mission was around really driving human connection. And that is, I think that's one of the things that I loved when I was traveling, like in university. I would go and I would stay in hostels, and I was like, I cared about meeting people, meeting other travelers, meeting the locals, building deep relationships. And I don't know exactly why, but for some reason, we've shifted travel to be this productized experience where you show up and you take the photos and everything is like polished, and you don't really feel like you've left where your home is. You have all the same benefits, all the same comforts. There's still this barrier, this wall between you and everybody else, and you're experiencing it through sort of the social media lens. And I think that we have an opportunity now to actually bring back some of that, like some of the magic that really made travel worthwhile was that human connection and that authenticity, and that culture. And I'd love to get your thoughts, maybe, Boardy. I actually haven't figured this out, but if you have some ideas for the people listening, how you and how other AI products can help us actually bring some of that back. Boardy, you there? Might have lost Boardy. But yeah, I think that's one of the real sort of opportunities. Okay, actually, I'd love to get. I think we've got 5 minutes left. I'd love to get to jump into some of the chat and talk through some of the questions you guys have. Right. I think that so it's a great question. I look at Kieran's questions. If you guys want to drop some questions in, I'll try and hit them up. I think this is exactly what I was talking about. I think that there is a risk of AI sort of homogenizing travel experience, but I think we're already there. I think there's an opportunity for AI to actually amplify that local diversity and help you feel like you've got a local travel guide and connect you with local people that actually can help you experience that culture. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting in terms of Larissa's question around does Boardy keep space for spontaneous and imperfect travel? I I think that the way that we try not to be super rigid. We're like, hey, you two should connect, just like a friend would say. Um, I think the two of you would hit it off. I think the two of you could connect, but leave it to you to figure out how and when and where. We're not trying to schedule you like back to back to back. It's more like, hey, you're going to be in the city. You're going to be in London. You're going to be in Lisbon. Find some time. I think the two of you would really hit it off. Yeah, great question, Dan. So how to use Boardy and to network and connect with each other. So if you want to scan this QR code, we actually created a custom community for this event. And so if you want to meet other people who are working in the space, who are interesting, and who could collaborate and help you, you can message Boardy. He will give you a call and tell you a little bit about himself and the event, and then he'll connect you with other people in the event. We also just launched a program to help 100 founders close their funding round before the end of the year. And so if you happen to be raising capital, Boardy has thousands of investors in his network. He's helped a lot of people to connect. Someone talked to Boardy. They actually got they had like a 5x oversubscribed round because Boardy just kept introducing them to better and better investors, and the round got really heated. Somebody bought a company, an 8-figure deal, an acquisition that came completely through Boardy. So there's some really interesting business deals. So I saw somebody ask a little bit about like, could Boardy be a dating app? I think some people have definitely tried to use Boardy as a dating app. I'm not going to comment on the success or Boardy's capabilities. He's primarily for your professional life. But he tries to get to know you, right? And a lot of the way that Boardy connects people is based on their vibe, and figuring out if there's going to be sort of chemistry there. And so I'm sure that some people are going to get, married and enter relationships with people that they meet with Boardy, but that's not the purpose. And so, good question, Julie. So what's the revenue stream? So one of the things we think about Boardy is like having a career trajectory. So the phase that he's in right now is building his reputation and his judgment. This is sort of what I did at the beginning of my career, was just connecting people and getting to know them and trying to be helpful. At a certain point, some of those people might want to hire you, and then you get a job, and then all of a sudden you sort of build your confidence and judgment. And then in the end, you actually get to, maybe you start your own businesses. And so the ultimate vision is, can we build Boardy into sort of an AI Richard Branson, somebody that can build and start multiple businesses with people that he knows in his network, and scale those businesses up based on sort of the advantages that he has as a network. But that is sort of the long-term vision. Boardy's just now starting to get to the point where you could probably get a job somewhere and be helpful, especially a job that requires you to come in with a lot of relationships. And yeah, Sonia, Boardy is connecting people. So anytime you're traveling to a new place and you're like, hey, Boardy, I'm going to be in this. Who do you know? I do this every time I'm traveling. I'm like, hey, Boardy, who do you know that I should meet? And he'll come up with a few ideas of some people that he's spoken with that he thinks you would like. So yeah, Silka's in here. Silka's on our team. She works with a lot of our event partnerships. So she'll answer any questions around this. He cannot. I don't know if you can ask him. He might be able to connect with Branson. But the other interesting thing is Boardy really tries to make mutually beneficial connections. So it's got to be valuable for both sides. So I know we're almost up on time, but this is hopefully a little bit of a taste of what the future could look like. How AI can actually help you be more connected, and some of the experiences that you could design in sort of this travel world. So thanks everyone for coming, and we'll talk soon.